The Afrikaans people among me will know what it means when I say that the oom is the doneren, because that's exactly where we are at the moment. Peter Hurnewald, who is, of course, the Minister of Correctional Services in South Africa, is the doneren. He seems to be cracking the whip quite heavily as the Minister of Correctional Services. And in tabling his budget before Parliament, he had a number of choice suggestions for what can be done to the prison system. Just want to say a huge thank you to all of the supporters and patrons of this channel. By becoming a member or a patron, you help support the news that we bring and also allow me to do even more in the future. So huge shout out to all of you. Thank you. Anyways, enjoy the video. Bye. Now, one of the suggestions that he sort of threw out there is corporal punishment. This means when your mom and your dad beats the living shit out of you for being a bad kid, which is what I grew up with. And I'm assuming many of you that watch do have stories that you will recount of moments when you were beaten because you were naughty. In my case, I deserved every single one of those, because I was a very naughty child growing up. But fundamentally, I think it made me a better person overall. I'm not against corporal punishment. By the way, I think you can track the decline of the Western world very much from the moment that corporal punishment was outlawed in the Western world. And corporal punishment, of course, doesn't just extend to parents disciplining their children. It also extends to schools. I have family members that are teachers that have said straight up, the current disciplinary sort of environment within schools are non-existent because there's ultimately nothing that you can actually do. You can't expel children because that's against the law. You can't fail children because that's against the law. So there really is nothing that you can do. You can give them sort of penalty points and then they can go sit in detention on a Friday. But most of these kids don't mind sitting in detention. It gives them something to do because they would have been there, just sort of hanging out and doing random shit anyways. So it doesn't even matter in that scenario. Fundamentally, we do have a complete and utter deterioration of discipline within our country. Now, where I have a problem with, and the minister, by the way, makes a good point, the prisons are completely overcrowded. They have about 60,000 inmates that are waiting, right, that can't afford bail, and they don't have space to put them. So they're currently just working on jamming as many people into a room and hoping that it plays itself out because most people don't even have the money to pay a bail of under 1,000 rand. So clearly things are not working. Where I have a problem with what the minister is suggesting is that corporal punishment isn't going to fix what is wrong in South Africa. If you want to fix what's wrong in South Africa, you have to get fathers back into the home. You have to teach fathers how important their role is in the upbringing of their children. This is the only way to fix South Africa. We know the statistics. The research has been done on this, and there's been countless studies. Children that come from complete households, in other words, there's a mother and a father in the home, are far more successful, far more well-adjusted, and far more disciplined than their counterparts that come from single mother households. So fathers need to be present. Corporal punishment, just beating a child for not following the rules, that doesn't work. Even the psychological studies show that unless that's also coupled with a good and decent disciplinary structure around this child, the beatings will just make the child scared and make the child ultimately find more intelligent ways of circumventing the ultimate punishment, but not necessarily breaking the crime. The minister also has, and this I actually do agree with, there's a number of other suggestions where the minister is going to try and get illegal foreigners deported to their country of origin so that they can serve their prison sentences there. That would, of course, require a lot of multinational and sort of international discussions. But I don't think that the South African taxpayer should be sort of expected to pay for illegal foreigners in our country. And then also, the next thing that the minister will focus on is any foreigner in the country that has been caught and is currently serving jail. Upon release, they will immediately be deported to their country of origin, which is great, except for the fact that our border is more open than a hooker on a Friday night. So even if you deport them, they can literally just walk back in. So unless we secure our border, we're not actually keeping the criminals out. But it is at least a start. I think another thing that we should be revisiting is capital punishment. I know a lot of people have some kind of issue with capital punishment, but even if I just look, for example, at the murder rates in South Africa, it stands to reason that 1/3 of all female convictees or prison inmates are convicted for murder. You have a number of people convicted of mass murder, and then about 67% of the total inmate population were sentenced offenders. So these are people who actually committed offenses and are there legally. We don't have the exact statistics on what crimes they were convicted for, but even if we were just to say that 1/3 of all prisoners are convicted of murder, I don't see why a murderer deserves to live on the taxpayer's dole for the rest of their lives when they themselves had no respect for the life of other people in being sent to prison in the first place. I don't understand why we protect these people's rights when they themselves did not respect anyone else's right to life. I think it just costs the taxpayer a lot of money because a lot of these people are in prison for the rest of their lives, which taxpayers have to pay for. When we could just put these people out of their own misery and also get them out of society. If you're serving multiple life sentences with no possibility of parole, you'll never see the outside of a jail cell ever again. Why the hell are we expected to pay for that? I don't understand it, right? You have lost your right to claim human rights. You've lost your right to claim citizen rights. You've given that up, right? The day that you became a gangster that murders and slaughters and makes other people's lives miserable, you've given up that right. The prisons are just, it's crazy what's happening in our prisons. And personally, I think, Mr. Hurnewald, we need to go further. I don't think the ANC will actually do it because I don't think the ANC is serious about fighting crime. But fundamentally, if we don't get to that at some point, the prison system is going to collapse if it has not collapsed already. And a country without a judicial system and without a punishment system, can it really even be called a country at that point? Anyways, let me know in the comment section down below how you feel on this. Do you think capital punishment, corporal punishment, and just punishment in general should make its way back in schools and homes across the country? Do you think that there's maybe another way to deal with it? I'd love to read your thoughts. As always, hit the like if you liked it, if you didn't, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Peace.